Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Sunandini and I'm an entrepreneur and have been associated with Inside IIM since 2022. In this webinar, we have with us Mr. Gaurav Sangtani, a seasoned finance professional with 15 years of rich experience in consulting, controllership, auditing, and taxation. He's a public speaker on tech disruption and its impact on humans and society, and TEDx speaker on humans and AI, also a guest lecturer at IIMs, IITs, and other management institutes. It doesn't end here. He's also a founder and president of Jigyasa Foundation, an organization dedicated to innovation in education. We will briefly talk about his journey and dig into some career guidance in the finance domain. What better way to get in from this from a VP of a global financial service company itself? Before we get into career guidance in the finance industry, I would love to understand your journey and choices that led you here. So maybe, sir, can you talk about why did you choose finance as your career?
Sure. Thank you. Thanks, Nandini. Thanks for having me here. I liked finance. I started liking it. Commerce is a big field. A lot of students join BCom, MCom, and those typical commerce courses. And then now have CAs, MBAs, and all those things. But what I realized I found it quite interesting, right? I didn't find it kind of theoretical as it's portrayed. I started seeing everyday logic into the finance that we study. So that got me interested, and that's my journey started. I continued my CA journey. It was not all smooth. I did hit hiccups or roadblocks as such, but every time the interest part, how what we're studying, how the world operates, right? If you ask us, the physical world operates based on physical laws that you study in physics, biology, and chemistry. But how the humans interact, how humans behave, is all part of finance that you study. So that's the part I'm still fascinated till today when I talk about the AI, its impact on finance, blockchain. In fact, I'm interested on how humans interact with that. So that's how my interest came. And you need to believe and you need to trust whatever you're doing in finance. Somewhere you can relate that to how it impacts society, right? Finance may be blamed for a lot of things, but trust me, the kind of progress that we have seen, you can't just attribute purely to technology. Finance world has played a vital role, and if you're in finance, if you sit down and think through, you'll realize that you are playing a vital part in that. Someone realizes not, but you need to realize for yourself that it's not just a job, you're impacting the society as such.
Got it. So, sir, currently you are the VP of a global financial services company. Do you think this is what you ever wanted, and this is the finance that you wanted, and you dreamed and you lived through it in your career?
No. So I think personally, I don't believe that you have passion in your childhood that you want to achieve and then you achieve it. For me, life has not worked like this, and I assume doesn't work for a lot of people. But again, I still want to tell you that's how it's not worked for me. I'll give you an example. In 1999, I started pursuing computers, and that was a time when you couldn't buy a personal computer. At that point of time, a PC costed around 40,000, and you can imagine it costs less now after more than 25 years, right? So, but still wanted to pursue computers, and then I had thought that I'll be a computer programmer, right? I had decided that. Then I realized, okay, I can be computer programmer, but that's a field which is getting crowded, right? So it doesn't mean that just because I like technology, I need to be a computer programmer, or just because I'm entering finance, I need to leave technology. These are traditional paths. So what I did is I did my BCom with a computer application. There was a unique degree which was offered, and very few people took it. So I did full BCom, but we had a detailed subject of computer programming, which a BC student took, right? I'm still don't know what I want to do. Then I started doing CA. I did CA, and then I thought, and I got an offer from a multinational company. I joined that. After 2 years, I realized, no, that's not what I want to do. I want to do my own practice. So I left and I started my own practice. I joined someone consulting. Within consulting, I realized, no, I want to do a startup. So we launched a website which was called CA Shiksha. It was the first finance e-learning available in the country. And we'll touch base on that, why we did it and why we stopped it. But then I was doing entrepreneurship. Then I realized, okay, I want to go to finance and see again. So I started. And then I started NGO. Then I realized I want to talk to students. So I'm saying there's no one career path that you can choose. I think somewhere that's putting a lot of pressure on a lot of young professional that you need to have a dream, you need to chase a passion. Life doesn't work like that, right? And they are feeling that there's something wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with you. People are quoting bumper sticker and quotes, but life doesn't work. If you are confused, don't worry. I'm still confused. So to your point, no, I didn't think that I'll become this, but I'm happy. I'm extremely happy. Will this be my ultimate goal? No. I'll find out what interests me at that point of time. But at this point of time, I'm in a situation which I think I'm extremely happy. It's challenging on day-to-day basis. I look up to go to office because there's something more to learn from me. So that's all I'll say. Yeah, this is a I'm in a place where I'm glad I am, but it's not final destination. I think I'll keep changing my course, what interests me, and that's what I want to leave with you as well. That don't chase one goal. You may realize at different point of time there are different things that you want to do. Pursue that if it interests you. You don't need to follow the set path by someone or set path by society as such.
I want to understand one thing. I know it's a way long, I think 20, 25 years ago, but when you were in 12th grade, I want to understand people are not aware of things most of the time that maybe computer science is the next thing to do, or data is something you should pursue now, AI and all these things. You went into a path like computer science in 2000s. And I remember when I'm in 2014, that is when people are like, no, no, take computer science, it will be the future. So I want to understand if you were thinking futuristically that it will be the future, or you just liked it and that's how it fell in your career path.
Yeah, I think again I'm saying that you should not chase what is hot and you should not pursue something what future will like, because no one knows what future will look like. People are just making their guesses. You should always pursue what interests you, right? And I like what Steve Jobs said, that you can always connect the dots looking backward. I'll give you an example. I always used to like teaching. That's why I started getting to IIMs. When I got an invite, I was glad to go. I found it's a privilege for me. I always liked teaching. I was teaching when I was in 12th. I was teaching 10 students. When in BCom, I was teaching 12. So that was so. Did I become teacher? No, but I continued pursuing whenever I had to. I learned computer science, but I didn't become a programmer, but still pursued, right? I like finance. So when I wanted to do something on my own, I thought, okay, what is something which interests me? So what is the intersection of teaching, computer programming, and finance? That's when we came e-learning for finance. So we developed our website on our own, right? But I didn't think of that when I was learning computer science that I'll do that, right? When I was trying to teach, right, I always try to make teaching interesting. That's why we launched Jigyasa Foundation. We think teaching has become learning has become boring. So looking back, I could connect my computer science knowledge, my teaching knowledge, and my finance knowledge. But you cannot connect forward. So I don't think you should chase what is futuristic. You should touch those areas. If everyone is talking about AI, pick up and see. If it interests you, pursue that. But if it's boring for you, how long can you chase just because it's futuristic? It's not. No, not that everyone needs to be programmer. I think it's a wrong notion that in future everyone will be programmer. No. Functional expertise will have its own value. So try things so that you can figure out what interests you, but don't chase anything just because it's futuristic. That's how I would say. I'll give you another example. In 2017, I was talking on blockchain, right? That interested me, and we'll come back to that when we'll talk about some of the topics. But and everyone say, oh, you're talking about blockchain, so you must be in that group which thinks that blockchain will revolutionize the society or world. I said no, because that's something overestimation, right? Exaggeration. Maybe the hot news was blockchain will disrupt everything. My view was that blockchain is a fundamentally revolutionizing technology, but it will not change everything. So it interested me, but same time I was on the ground saying, okay, just because everyone's talking doesn't mean that it's a future. So to your question, I would say that don't chase anything just because everyone's saying it's a future, because no one knows future, and everyone will relate to some of those blockchain things now. Pursue everything because it's hot, that's fine, but only continue doing that if it interests you. You'll certainly find one thing or other which interests you if you keep looking for different things.
Got it. So, sir, coming back to maybe your personal career. So, apart from a career in an investment bank, you also are, I would say the term LinkedIn influencer, a TEDx speaker, and also a guest lecturer at IIMs and IITs. If we start with LinkedIn, I want to understand how did you start your LinkedIn journey and how did you grow and became an influencer now?
Yeah. So I think as I was saying that I don't term myself as influencer because it's the official term, and I don't want to influence anyone. But if I need to summarize and good detail is if I'm able to have some influence, that's because I never tried to be influencer, right? That means I didn't try to post something which will go viral. I'm still not concerned. I don't try to post what is popular, even if something is unpopular. I'm fine with that. So I'm not tried to become influencer. That's why I have posts which get 10,000 likes, and also I have a post which get 10 likes. I'm fine with both, right? Because my purpose is not likes. So if you want to be active on social media, you should know what's the purpose. Social media in itself cannot be the purpose, because then it's a wild goose chase, right? You're just chasing likes, shares, comments, right? And if one post you don't get likes, you will feel upset. When you get likes, you will be your day will be good, right? So you should not uh, interact or pursue social media for its own sake. What is the purpose? My purpose was, I realized a couple of things. One is, and I'm talking about, I'll say 5 to 6 years back when LinkedIn was not that popular as it is today, right? I realized that a lot of corporate knowledge, or how you can shape your corporate career learning, which is no one is coming out and talking to young professionals, which is something wrong. You should, and that's how I started sharing. People started resonating, and that was the time you could actually interact with folks. And now it's become little like Facebook, where you're a little bit afraid to say something because people get offended very easily. LinkedIn was not there at that point of time. You could say something. But so my first purpose was, there's a lot of things that I've learned in my career. How do you communicate to, I meet someone randomly and they ask and they find it useful, but is there a way I can talk to broader audience? I find LinkedIn more professional. I said now things have changed. This is a little less professional because any social networking site is a victim of its own popularity. At that point of time, it was a very, very professional. Second thing I realized that I've been entrepreneur, but I see that it's being glorified in a way, while where we are saying that working for someone else is a demeaning, which is not the case, right? If you start a startup today, you need employees. Working for an MNC, working for a startup, or working for someone else is not a wrong thing. In order to glorify startups, sometimes we end up doing that. That if you're working for someone else, you're killing your dreams. I found it wrong. I still find it wrong. That's somewhere where I wanted to started posting that. And I still believe entrepreneurship is not about your own business. You can work for someone else and still be entrepreneur. Choose an organization and still, again, I'll say there's a myth that you'll get that kind of freedom only in startups. No, good corporates also give you that freedom. That means that working even for corporate, you can work as an entrepreneur. And trust me, only if you work as an entrepreneur in a corporate, you'll have long-term success, because they want someone who can own what is given to them, run as if it's your own business, and you are rewarded sufficiently. Again, you need to have your expectation in control. That's a different thing. But again, I wanted to say something loud and clear that working for someone else is not wrong. You can be entrepreneur in a corporate job, and it can be as satisfying as entrepreneurship. So these two things started my LinkedIn journey. I focus around that. I still, at this point of time, I measure how much to post, because this is victim of its own popularity. But same time, my message or my motive is clear: not to get likes, but to help someone. I read someone and say, okay, is it something which will help? Am I posting something negative? If yes, will it change anything? No. If someone sees that on their feed, will it make their day good or bad? Those are my criteria. I didn't try to be influencer, but if you have right intention, you'll slowly gather right audience who connect.
Got it. So I guess everybody got a bit brief of your personal journey, and I would like to go and understand finance world and the career opportunities and skills are required to choose one path or maybe different various paths, as you said. So let's dig deeper into that. So I want to start with it's a weird enough that in schools, at least when I was in school, we didn't have finance for everyone, especially personal financing, except maybe for commerce stream. I'm also from a science stream, so we didn't have finance. And arts also, I think they don't. They are not really aware of finance, and personal finance is something which is nowhere taught. And many of the same science students, if you see now, end up doing something apart from engineering. They go into investment banking, fintech, etc. But if we had to cut short this long process to know that okay, we like finance in 11th 12th grade itself, Was there any education skill or practice during our 11th, 12th grade that can help a person understand finance better and maybe know that if they want to pursue a career in that?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's nothing which is in school, even commerce education. I did 11th, 12th from commerce. That's telling you bookish knowledge, at least I think broadly. There may be schools which are doing extra, but at least your curriculum is designed to give you, even if you ask a 12th student how the economy works, they'll not be able to tell. Because one, they're focused on clearing exam. Second, there's no one's talking about how the things work practically. And our curriculum has not been updated. So the first point is not that science students are at disadvantage in commerce. No, maybe they can't say that they know commerce, but even if commerce students can say, broadly they're not prepared by their education. So how can you prepare? I think first we need to bring finance and personal finance much earlier into the curriculum. Maybe you can't have finance as subject. But when talking to a first grader, second grader about environmental studies, right, social studies, why only talk about kind of family structure and all those? Why not talk also about economics, right, or how society works? We need to accept that's a part which everyone needs to know. So I think somewhere a curriculum have to evolve when you talk to them about social studies, accept that economics as the valuable part. Right? A lot of people struggle in their life whether they choose finance or not choose finance because they don't know how to manage their personal finance. That has to be
Mm.
taught early in the career, and you realize you'll see someone and say, okay, how can they be so reckless about their personal finances? Isn't it obvious? To some people, it's not obvious, right? They don't understand how compounding works. They don't understand how saving works, how insurance works, right? All those things kind of people don't know. So I think we have to bring the personal finance early in the studies. People need to know how economy works, whether they choose finance or not. There will be people who will take take science and change fields. I had a lot of friends who were doing CA after doing kind of 12th from science. So it's not just MBA, even CAs are science background. I'm more concerned about personal finance, which we're not teaching everyone early in the career, which I think we need to. I know some of the startups are doing that, but EdTech have their own problem because they have their motives also to make themselves profitable, and also it kind of gets over marketed. Sometimes that's their own enemy. But I think somewhere our education system has to change where we bring personal finance early, and then people get to see how economy works and they can choose their career, if not career, at least their personal finances well.
Got it. So, sir, the changing the system is very difficult. I just want to understand if there is a practical approach right now that someone can start. Maybe a 12th grader who is watching this right now, if they see you answer that, okay, maybe open Zerodha and open an account and start investing today. Just experience it. So, are there any more examples where personal finance can be really dealt with and making budget and doing it practically?
Yeah. So I'll say it's easy when someone says, okay, open account, invest. It's good. But I think what you need to understand as a 12th student, which you anyway understand, even if you'll pursue astrophysics, right? Doesn't matter. You still should still understand how economy works. There are a lot of resources today. When we were studying, there hardly YouTube was not has not come. If you had to buy a books, you couldn't get in a small city. You had to go to Delhi to buy good books, right? So all those things were there. So ultimately, I think there are a lot of resources today where you can learn. So first, you should learn how economy works. Then you should learn how kind of it impacts you on day-to-day basis. Then you can take a call whether you want to invest or not. That's a personal call. But I wouldn't suggest start with investing first. You'll have some bad experience, and then you may end up saying, "Oh, stock market is not for us. Finance is bad." Finance people are kind of because, "Oh, I lost my 1,000 rupees which I invested." So don't start with that. Understand how things work, and there are a lot of resources out there which are very very basic. As a parent, I talk to my kids even when they're 4 or 5 years, telling them what is the stock, right? And it may look wrong, but at least they need to understand, right, when how their parents earn money, why it's important to invest, how the money grows. If money goes to bank, how would the bank pay you more than they are getting? From where something, these are basic things you can talk to your kids. If you're again in 10th, 11th, 12th, you can easily find out very good material out there. Something, make yourself more aware about how the financial system works, and you'll be surprised to see how the day-to-day things work. Only caution I'll give is once you start on that wild goose chase, YouTube has a lot of conspiracy theories, which is very interesting, right? But ultimately, you realize 4 5 years back, those were just clickbaits. People were posting those stories, and I don't want you to realize after 5 4 6 5 4 5 years. Realize now that not everything which is posted online is correct. Read official, authentic sources, but you have enough knowledge where you should first understand how finance work, economy works, then go down and take your financial decision based on that.
Got it. So finance in itself is a very broad area. Do you want to talk about the different options and choices that people can make in their career for finance itself?
Yeah. So I think once you go to MBA, right, you have option to choose specialization, finance, marketing, HR. Those are kind of things. See, you don't have option to choose till a very long time. In 12th, even if you take commerce, you can't choose where you want to go. If you pursue BCom or even MBA or even CA, right, you get that option much later when you're choosing for job. Like there are hardly any courses which you give you specialization in graduation on equity research, right, or IBD, right. You need to follow the path which everyone is following. Same time, you can make yourself ready for uh, what you want to pursue. But to do that, you need to understand what are the various fields, right? So I'll put it this way. First, understand basically how the finance system works. Again, I'll say that's basic. You need to know whether you're doing equity research, whether you're doing IBD, whether you're doing uh, any other thing in the finance. You need to understand how the finance or whole global economy works. That's basics. After that, figure out different areas of finance and choose what interests you. I'll caution you, don't choose what pays more. A lot of time get a query of what pays more. And you should remember that a good barber may be paid more than a bad accountant, right? It matters what you are good at. Whether where you are in top 5%, you'll always be paid more if you're in bottom 5% in a good field, right? So first choose the field you which interests you, because it's not possible to be in top without having a genuine interest. I see a science in it, right? I find it fascinating how accounting world works. So I try to stay close. People may find it boring. They say, "Oh, accountants are not paid." Well, no. So figure out what interests you in finance field. There are different fields, and today it's easy to figure out whatever interests you, along with your graduation and post graduation MBA journey. Keep side by side working on that, so you're ready better than others, right? And then get into that field. If it interests you, you will be okay to struggle in initially. When I say struggle, you may not get into good company, you may not got a good salary, but it interests you, you can pursue. And trust me, if you're good, sooner or later, through even mid-scale companies, through startups, you'll ultimately get a good job in that field because you'll prove yourself. So again, first understand how the economy works. I'm emphasizing because that's a very basic thing a lot of people miss. Second is figure out which are different areas, right? It's easy to figure out. Then figure out which interests you genuinely, not which is the hot field, what is pays more, where's the more growth, what interests you genuinely, and then prepare for this side by side. And when the time comes, take a plunge, pick up a job, even if it pays less, even if it's small, if it's in area of interest, slowly you'll figure out the big place in that industry.
Got it. And so, can you just name some of the categories that we can enter in a finance domain?
Yeah, see, it's very wide, right? So I'll start with saying there's a core accounting or controllership of profile. There's a research kind of profile. There's an IBD product profile where you deal with clients as such. There's a broader economic profile, right? It's not that you need to be a core economist or do something in economic PhD. In you can get into macro research with your finance degree as well, right? So these are some of the areas which are very prominent. And within that, I think there are areas which have become more niche, right? Today, digital transformation is the area which you can pursue. But what do you need to that? You need to not only understand finance, you need to understand how a corporate process work, how the company's processes work. You need to understand how the accounting system works. I'm saying there are traditional fields, but they're coming up niche fields and they're changing every day. So you need to be current on those things and figure out what are specialized skill sets required for those areas. But I'm saying the broad areas that we've classified traditionally are kind of changing. There are a lot of jobs today in digital transformation which didn't exist, I'd say, 5 years back. There was digital transformation, but not to the extent it exists today.
Okay. And if we had to rate these broad areas in terms of career growth, So how will you do that?
Sorry, can you think in terms of these specific area in terms of IBD quizzes? You think how do you study for those?
No, I'm saying, as in there is a career trajectory and a growth to every of these roles. Some of these roles become redundant maybe after a point of time where maybe computer can do your work. Whereas some roles are continuously evolving and you can grow, maybe become a assistant, then a senior assistant, then an associate, then a senior associate. So those are growth terms that we have in some specific roles. So are there some finance roles where the career growth is more compared to some where you don't you have a peak, now you have to maybe do an MBA to go higher, something
Yeah.
like
So I'll say first is again pursue what interests you. That's very very important, right? Second is keep yourself updated, right? If you are into a area, let's say you are into area which is data crunching, and today there were thousands of people who were crunching. Yesterday there were not thousands of people who were crunching data for research. Now system can pull that data, and you don't need, right? I need to say those thousand people doesn't don't have work to right, but there'll be some people who would have sensed that my field is changing. They would have upgraded themselves to a higher level in that field. So I'm saying in every job, there's a risk today that the low level, that means something which is manual, monotonous, will be automated. So I'll say there's no field that you can choose which will not be disrupted by technology. It's not possible, right? So don't try to find out, okay, can I do something in this field because computers will never disrupt. It will never happen, right? Choose a field which interests you, but be active in seeing that, okay, today I am doing this, but it doesn't add value to the organization. What I'm doing doesn't need a human expertise. Can I upgrade myself, right? If you upgrade yourself, today or tomorrow, time comes, then you will be ready for that opportunity. So I'm saying easily, let's give an example. Call center jobs, right? Thousands of call center jobs are gone because you can today chat to a chat bot, right? If yes, if 3 years back, of say 5 years back, you opened a Amazon app, you said contact customer care, you always 100% times you're talking to a human being. Now you're talking to a chatbot most of the time, and human beings get introduced when a chatbot cannot answer you, right? Right? Which are the human beings which have survived, which come when chat can't answer? Those who upgraded their communication skills, who upgraded their customer solving skills as such, right? Those will stay there because they are better than a chatbot, right? Same way in a research, if you're just crunching number, you didn't upgrade yourself, right? That means you didn't start doing analytical stuff on your own, you would not be required. So I'm saying whatever field you choose, every field is prone to disruption, right? You need to be upgrading yourself continuously so that you can go up in the value chain. When the time comes for this disruption, you are better placed than some of the things which can be automated. So that's how I'll say. But I know it's a good to get an answer that this will not be disrupted, but there's no answer like that. Everything will be disrupted. Real thing that lies, which I'll advise anyone with is move up the value chain. Do something which machines can't automate for a foreseeable future, but there are, right? Like a lot of accounting things will be automated, but understanding what accounting treatment as per a US GAAP, machines can't do for foreseeable future. You can do that while you're working on crunching numbers. You get opportunity, you look at that, you opine on those things, and they'll figure out the person has a better knowledge than other police. You get those opportunities. I know it's a long answer, not a straight answer, but I think that's the most practical answer I see on day-to-day life.
Got it. And if we had to say or talk about some key skills in finance, which will be broadly applicable everywhere, and one can try to develop it in the college days, as I guess most of our viewers are, irrespective of where they land their job. So, are there any key skills such?
Yeah, so I'll say one again. I'll go back, understand how the money works. A lot of people in even till the advanced careers don't put an effort. Second is understand how a corporate organization works. What you see in books is sometimes pure theoretical. It doesn't, a lot of it doesn't apply. So put an effort to that. A skill will be required. Problem solving is one skill which will never go out of fashion wherever you go. That's where you will see, and you may be surprised that sometime at senior level, people jump jobs outside their fields, right? A CEO in an automobile can jump to a CEO in a bank as well. How come? Why they're not asking that we need a CEO only from that? Same way, a person who did a digital transformation in automobile can jump to a FMCG digital transformation. Why? Because more than domain knowledge, they need your problem solving skill sets. So what you can do is look at the how broader industry works, how organizations work, prepare yourself to question those stuff and processes. Wherever you go, one thing I one field I see evolving and which will evolve more is people who can disrupt existing processes and do digital transformation. I'm not talking about digital transformation consultant, but within an organization, if you have capability to change processes, save some cost, bring more efficiencies, you will be in a need in foreseeable future. But for that, you need to understand technologies very well. So one skill set you can develop. But I didn't say it in beginning because there's one misconception I see is okay that you need to understand data science. That means you need to learn Python everywhere.
Hmm.
No, you don't need to be necessarily be a programmer to be a data science. So you don't need to be data scientist. Your company will have programmers which can help you, right? Just that those programmers will not have functional knowledge. They may not know how to apply data science on a say accounting question or a research question. You need to have knowledge of that domain, but the ability to suggest those digital transformation suggestions. So understand broadly the technologies which are impacting the digital transformation today, same time understand how the companies and processes work, and be a problem solver to connect these two. This is the area which is going to, I think, blast with a lot of kind of career opportunities where you can disrupt processes, but what you need is expert domain knowledge, same time decent knowledge of technology, that means what those technologies can do and what way, so that you can help them. So that's one core knowledge I think which is kind of missing. Either we are on one extreme learning technology more deep, or we are in a function. That combination of these two is kind of missing, which I think will help you grow there.
Sir, there's a big question here. So many people are like, we don't want to learn coding or we don't know coding, we are not from that domain. And you just said to know the specific domain you're good at or whatever you are doing and the functionality. So in a practical way, I want to like with an example, maybe understand we have a programmer with us and we are maybe a specialist in any particular domain, maybe economics or finance or anything as such. And now we have to solve a problem. And what is the connection that you're talking about that you should be good at this? Can you just give us an example which we can
Sure.
understand?
So I'll give you an example. I was talking about blockchain a lot. I still talk when the opportunity comes, right? But I can't program in blockchain.
Hmm.
But I can tell you blockchain in easy terms and correct terms, which a programmer may not be able to because he's focused more on a technology side, right? But that's the skill set. So I can tell you whether blockchain is a good solution in this case or not. And a lot of times people propose to me, I can tell them it's a bad solution because this is not a strength of blockchain. You need something, but blockchain is a very weak technology in terms of scale. You can't scale it beyond a point, or if you scale, it's inefficient compared to centralized uh, databases, right? So I'm saying your problem statement doesn't justify using blockchain. You're using because it's a fancy word, right? How can I say that? Because even though I don't know how the program is, because there's no functionality of it. That's one example. Someone comes, oh, we want to trade with X person on blockchain. I said, why? You know the X person of company. Why you want to trade on blockchain? Blockchain solves the problem of where two parties or more than two parties don't know each other. They can't trust each other. It brings a trust, right?
Hmm.
So what I'm trying to tell you is, I know the fundamental of blockchain. Same time, let's talk about AI. I'm not an AI programmer. I had done programming long back, but that only give me knowledge about how the system works. I can't program now. At least I'm not done for years now. But I can tell you that AI is a good use case in this case because data is a good indicator. So whenever data is a good past data is a good indicator of future, you should use AI in a simple terms. It's a little bit more complex than that. So I'm saying once you understand the functioning of it, right, then you can relate whether it's a good solution or not. To understand functionality, you can't do that from one article to article. That will give you good talking points in a good setting or in a coffee shop, but it will not give you deep knowledge. So did I do a lot of blockchain courses? I did, but I didn't try doing programming. So figure out what's the best mix for you. So you need to go deeper, but stop at a place where it satisfies your technical needs. So to your answer, I think you need to go deeper than just reading articles. You need to go deeper into technology. But if you don't want to be a programmer, still need to understand how the functionality works at a core. It will take more than one article, more than one course, talking to a lot of people, understanding. So conceptual clarity, which we were talking 25, 50 years back, still relates. It now relates in terms of understanding technologies better than what is a hype around those. So I'm saying go deeper, take a lot of courses, and there's tons of material out there which you can read. And you don't need to say, okay, because I did a AI data science coding course, then I need to do coding. No, no. Maybe you do a coding course to understand how coding works. That's completely fine. There's no set path. Then you need to complete Coursera course and get a certificate. No, no. If you got knowledge, basic understanding where you feel comfortable, I think that's enough. So go to the core of the technology. By default, you will naturally get that knowledge. You can suggest right solutions.
Okay, got it. I guess we understood a bit of the present finance world. Let's understand how tech and AI are disrupting this and will create a better future. So, sir, how are tech and AI shifting the way finance industry works now?
Yeah, I think finance industry relies a lot on data, right? It relied a lot on data, but there were limitations to human processing of data. One is that limitations is going away now. Again, we can't say that AI can be used without oversight as such. There are pitfalls which a commercial organization need to be careful of. So there are human interventions out there, but still, AI has given us tools which we didn't have in terms of data processing. So any area which does the data processing in finance is getting a much more better data or insights for decision making, and that can happen in any field, right? You want to onboard customers, you want to provide credits, you want to see projections for your organization, you want to study the markets, anything, wherever data is important, AI is disrupting that, I think, and that will continue to happen in near future. These programs will become more reliable, companies will become more open, and will have more expertise in people who can make use of good use of these data and models. So that will accelerate at a further pace. So maybe we came from 1 to 10 in last 5 years. Doesn't mean next 5 will go 10 to 20. We'll go 10 to 100. The pace of acceleration will improve because companies will be able to rely more on these models, and they will disrupt everything where data is, and it's every domain in the. You start from onboarding customers, analyzing customer data, finding financial frauds, finding anomaly in your data. You report to a regulator. You have tons of data. You want to find out what is wrong. Even to financial reporting, you want to do research. You want to study stock prices. Everywhere, I think AI is going to do this. It's already disrupting, but I think it will be much more acceptable and in use more than we are seeing today.
And what will be the role of humans be when this happens?
Yeah, see, AI can only give you insight, right? It can't take decisions on your behalf, and it shouldn't be, right? Because so I think humans will move more up the value chain, right? So AI can recommend you that, okay, these are potential frauds, right? But I don't think we'll reach, and I hope we will not reach where, okay, we allow AI to block something automatically, right? I think the human intervention will always be required, should be required. Either will some places it will be there by default, or some places will learn by some errors that you need to have human intervention. So I think the decision making, I think, will always be there. Small decision making can be maybe outsourced to AI, but I think key decisions will always be with humans. So I think what human role will be first to implement these AI technologies, because they can't be implemented themselves. Computer doesn't understand the data. Somewhere you need to make it understand, make it contextual for it. Second is using these insights to use for decision making. I think that's core places where humans will always be required. I think more mundane jobs, more data where humans can't do it. So if you want to analyze 1 million line items, humans can anyway not do that, right? So I think those areas where AI is making us more powerful than kind of disrupting us, but up the value chains, and humans will always have a role in decision making and kind of process improvements in it.
Got it. And sir, do you think this will create a more or better work-life balance for people?
Yeah, okay. Maybe it's my time. So I'll say, how do you define work-life balance? It's an interesting question to ask.
Okay, so if it's up to me, my opinion is Maybe in a day, if there are 24 hours, then we have 8 hours job, and the rest of the hours we can sleep and relax and chill. And weekends are also something where we don't have to do what we do the whole week. Maybe we are working on something else apart from our company. And yeah, basically, if we have a company, we are working for it for a particular time, and then we have time after 5 o'clock to do whatever we want. It can be work also in different domain or anything else, and weekends also. So that's a balance for me.
Yeah, I think right answer. I think what you told is you told what is a work-life balance looks for you, right?
Hmm.
What I'm trying to say is work-life balance has a different definition for different people. But if you want to summarize, I think I would summarize you have a life outside of work,
Hmm.
whatever it may be for you, right? If you want to work 7 days, maybe it's fine. It's your own choice. You're not working out of compulsion for a paycheck and you're compromising your life, right? That's a work life. So if your life outside of work, so I'll say work life, and then I'll go to maybe this one. Work life balance is a relative term. You choose what you want to get. And when you choose something, it has a trade off, right?
Hmm.
If you choose 8 hour job, I'm sure you're choosing to get paid less than someone who's working 12 hours, right? It's a choice, not a wrong choice. So work life is always a choice. Personally, for me, work life balance means this um, not 8 hours, sometimes 10 hours, sometimes it's 12 hours, sometimes even 5 hours. So for me, work life balance is the organization which gives me enough time when I need it, right? There are days when my work needs more, then my personal life has to kind of compromise. My family has to understand. There are days when my family needs more. I may work only for 5 hours. Then my workplace needs to understand, which is also happening, right? So I want flexibility than number of hours. It can look different for different people. So that leads into question when I said, okay, will the AI give us a better work-life balance? No, because if we don't have today, AI will not give. Because work-life balance is a choice. People who are not choosing today will not choose tomorrow as well, right? And why they're not choosing? Because the cost of choosing is not that they want to bear. If someone wants to pay highest in that industry, that means work-life balance is not their preference. Their preference is money, and nothing wrong with that. That's a valid choice. So no, AI will make processes easier, but those people who want to work more will find more work to do, right? So it's nothing changing. Like we had, let's say, we had a banks which were on manual. Bank used to open 10 a.m., used to close at 1:30. You couldn't do banking after that. Now everything is on computers. Have banking people have less hours to work? They have
Hmm.
more hours to work, but computer has changed, right? Same AI will happen. There's a choice. I think growth always AI will certainly bring economic growth, no doubt about it. People are saying the AI will take away jobs. I don't think. I think longer term it will bring jobs. Right. Same way we computerized banks. Now there are more jobs in bank than earlier. Right. Same way. Something certainly it will not take away jobs on a longer term basis. Economy will grow, but the personal choices you have to make yourself. No technology can help you unless you are ready to pay cost for what you want, right? If you want a job flexible, say for you, you want freedom, you're choosing to get that job and compromising perks which a corporate would give. It's the right choice if it suits you. So I think it's more of personal question in that technology can help. If you want today, there's still enough technology where people can make enough work-life balances choices they want.
So, sir, I want to understand one more thing. So right now, when we are doing the redundant work, or let's take an example of maybe someone is given the work to data research for some client and find data, collate it. So they take hours and hours to do that, and that is something they are doing because they are not efficient enough, like a computer, to collect data from the correct place and find it, write it. So if there are no computers and you have to go to the file, find the file, that's why the time consumption is a lot. And that's what we say, that because the time is long, so we are working for uh, a longer time period. But when AI comes and disrupts this, so this part of the whole career, so the journey, this work reduces down, dials down. Now the AI can do something where you are sleeping and at night they are doing it. And then when you wake up in the morning, you have the report in your hand. Now you have to take the decision. So what I want to understand is, first of all, when AI comes, so you need more skilled people compared to if people who are doing the redundant work. So this will upskill people for sure. But what I meant by work-life balance is, will it give us more time in our hand because work is being done easily, or people who are workaholics will be like they will make 10 decisions instead of 2 decisions in one day because they'll work for 8 hours or 10 hours or 12 hours. Are you saying that is what will happen?
Yeah. So let's again go back. So you're saying there's a company where say 8 hours there's an employee who crunches number, right? And then the person gives a report and then goes. Now the company employs a machine which can gives a report in 1 hour. My question, then company will say, okay, now you can go home in 1 hour. No, company automated because they wanted that person's time to use somewhere else. Person will get more work, right? But company has a limited capability to give you work. Beyond that, if you want to grow, you will pick up more work. So I'm saying that's how economic growth comes, right? Same people can do more work. That means the numbers for companies grow, pay for the person who was doing 8 hours crunching numbers got paid suppose 100 rupees. Now report comes and he still works 8 hours and he's able to do 8 reports. He'll not be paid 100 rupees. He'll be paid much more. But surely he can't go home in 1 hour, right? So that's how things work. So that's how efficiency comes. Otherwise, what will happen? Then efficiency will not come. If we say, okay, we'll still work 1 hour and go home. So that's how efficiencies come, productivity comes in society, in economy. So yeah, work-life balance is still a choice. Your work will be done, but will you be satisfied with 1 hour job? No, even if you're not workaholic, you'll not be, right? So I'm saying those things will not. It, uh, Technology gives you power to do more, but again, your choices are yours, which you can do today as well. You can today also say to your organization, I'll only work 4 hours. I'll do half a report, and I'm okay to get paid less because my childs need me more these days, which is fine. It's a career choice. You can make a career choice tomorrow. Technology will give you more power, but I think work-life balance will stay always with your own choices. Again, with the cost, everything has a cost, but are you ready to pay cost? This one.
Got it. So I'm done with my questions. Sorry, guys, to keep you waiting for the Q&A session. And Prananjay especially, I think he is waiting for his answer. So I'm going to take it up as soon as possible. So the first question by Paranjay is, as an engineer, how can we go into investment banking?
Yeah, see, it's a very specific question, and I'll tell you broadly. See, and I'll be true. Investment banking, if you want to go, depends on whether you get a call from investment bank or not, right? And let's work backwards from that. Why would you get a call? You would have get a call because you're a good person to do investment banking. How can you a good person to investment banking? When you understand how things work in investment banking, you can prepare yourself with these kind of knowledge. I personally would strongly recommend you getting an MBA because you're competing with MBA. I can say it's wrong if an engineer has a better knowledge than MBA. Why should MBA be hard? All good, but the things work the way work, right? You can fight it or kind of. So I'll suggest get a good MBA from a good organization. Engineers are good at cracking CAT, whether we like it or not. Somehow they are good, so you can crack it. Get a good MBA, and then during that MBA, don't only work for MBA if you're passionate about investment banking. And I'm assuming you're passionate about because you know what is investment banking, not because you heard investment banking pays more. But if you're passionate about that, work towards that. What does skill set investment banking company needs? Connect with people, do extra work. You'll surely get into the. It's an industry where it's not mass jobs that you'll get, but people still get it when they work towards that. So I'll personally suggest get a good MBA, do an CAT, and then I'm sure you'll get it there if you prepare yourself well.
Got it. I hope, Paranjay, you got your answer. Sorry to keep you waiting for so long. Next, we have Disha. She's asking, if I attempt CA finals, will MBA compensate it as in career growth?
So I didn't get you. Did you get it?
I'll just repeat this. If I attempt in CA final, will MBA compensate it as in career growth?
Yeah, so I didn't get a question as such, but let me assume some question. I think we are saying that if you attempt CA final, do you need to do MBA? Or are you saying that if you do a CA final, will it give you as much growth as a not as MBA? Both are different fields. There are fields where CAs don't get easily entry that easily as a good MBA gets. So I think if you're in CA final, you should surely clear it, that attempt and clear it because you've come a long way. CA is certainly beneficial. And if you think you want to go to a field where just CA is not helping you, I know thousands of CA who do MBA after CA. They do immediately after CA or picking up a good job and with experience. So again, I'm assuming you're saying that will a CA final compensate or will be equal to MBA? Not in every field. So if you want to go to a specific field, which is where MBAs get preference, I'll suggest complete your CA. You come a long way. Do a job for a few years and do an MBA. I know lots of people who have done that, and they are kind of much better than just doing MBA. You will realize over the years that you are better placed than just MBA longer term.
Got it. I hope you got it, Disha. Disha has one more question. How do I network and build my personal brand?
It's an interesting question I get. So I'm saying, why do you want to network? The way networking we are taught doesn't actually work. There are a lot of misconception that you should network because network will help you get you a job. It doesn't, right? If you send a kind of connection request to someone on LinkedIn and say, oh, can you please refer my CV? The person may do out of obligation, but that referral won't work. In an organization, thousands of people are referring CVs like that, right? So what work is a real network? And as a real networking works, doesn't mean that you make more connections. You make a quality connections. If you get to work with someone, work in a way that the person can remember and recommend you, right? Person should say, oh, I worked with the CA. That's the best CA I've worked with. Do you need CA? Let me call that person. So I think work on a quality of your connection than quantity. I think there's a misconception that you need to have more connection. No one will be able to help because if you have 10,000 connections, those 10,000 people also know a lot of people and they can't recommend you because their reputation is at stake. So I'll say work on a quality connection. Whenever you meet someone, whenever you work with someone, give them your best self. At best, what you can do is after you work with them, you've given your best, keep a connect once in a while so they don't forget you. That's the best. But and adding random connection, making more connection doesn't help. You'll get tired of it when you realize it's not helping. It doesn't help. So build a quality connection, then quantity of connections.
Got it. I think Sagarika has the same question. How CA can enter IB? Do we need to do an MBA?
No need to. I'd say I've seen a lot of CAs which enter directly, but it's a difficult, which but you're competing because you're competing with IIMs MBA. And there are areas where they are better than CS, except that I am a CS, so I'm happy to accept that they are better than you. So you're competing. You can work extra and make your skill sets equal to them better than without doing MBA. Fine, you can do that. But it will be easier for you if you get a MBA after that, I'd say. But again, it's not necessary. It's a competition. It will become easier for you if you want to.
Got it. So, are there any new skills that we should do for the next 5 to 10 years?
I'll say be comfortable with the technology. You don't need to, again, I'll say, repeat, you don't need to be programmer, but you need to be sufficiently comfortable how technologies work. Today, inside organizations, again, I can talk limited, but the way you see from outside is not everyone is into technology, whether you're CA, whether you are an MBA, you are deep into technology into organizations. And you can only be deep if you understand how these things work. You can go inside an organization and that's fine. But if you want to be ahead, you need to learn those technology at a conceptual level now so that you can enter and compete. That's the additional skill set I'll say. People are one extreme. Either they take all the effort to become data scientists and get stressed and do something which they don't like, or they say, okay, technology is not for me. I think the answer lies somewhere in middle. You need to be sufficiently comfortable how these technologies work, how these apply to the process, how they can solve problem. That's one skill set I'll suggest all of us develop.
So Rashi is saying that she saw your LinkedIn profile and you are from an investment bank. So she wants to understand some specific things like what are the skills and certifications that are required for investment bank.
I'll again say certification may not help you. I think these days there's a flood of certification, and because everyone wanted to get some additional education in a pandemic, there were good sources. There were sources which were just generated and kind of earned money because so certificates have lost their shine because of there are too many of that. You need to do a real degree if you want and do from a good organizations. Having said that, can't you get without? You can get, but I'm talking practically on a personal side. Some of those degrees will help you cut through the competition. So I'll say get a good degree in your hand. Again, I'm not saying it's not necessary people get without it, but in most practical terms, if you're planning your career, that's the best way you can plan. You can always land without degree as well, but that's the one thing I'll recommend. get a good MBA under your belt, you'll be much more confident to get a job in any of the organizations.
Got it. Dhananjay is asking, can we get in IB as a fresher and do we need coding?
For IB, I don't think you need coding for sure. So, and coding you don't need unless you want to be coder in any field now. This is a misconception. Can you get as a fresher? Yes, but you need to prove yourself in interviews. You need to get interview calls. You need to have again same certain degrees in your belt. At least that's how practical works. The world works today. But you can get as a fresher. Fresher get hired in mind every time.
Okay. Sameer is asking, currently I'm an aspirant of bank job and have no such desire to do an MBA. Lately, I've cleared the assistant manager of IDBI Bank there and they offered me a 1 year of PGDBF MD, one extra year of convert that into MBA. So will that MBA be valuable?
Yeah, I think you're not written which organization. I think that matters a lot. Which kind of place you are doing. I'm assuming if a company is doing it, to be a decent place, right? There are a lot of startups who tie up with a foreign institute and get an MBA. And if while you're looking at an ad, you're doubting it, you can assume people will doubt it compared to regular MBA in the future. But if you think that's a good organization and it has a good reputation, I think it will certainly help. You are doing with your job, so people will understand that you have practical knowledge. But if you like the job that you're doing, and you're not just staying for doing MBA, I'm assuming that, then picking up MBA is better than doing the same job without MBA.
And how is Niti Noida? Or Sameer is asking.
I would stay away from recommending, but you can search whether it's in top 10 or not. It's easy to search. So, yeah.
The top 10 is something that he's recommending.
Top 10, 20, 30, you'll figure out. I think it's easy to figure out these days. You will figure out better online. But yeah.
Got it. Guys, any other questions to write up? Else I'll end this webinar. I guess they don't have any more questions. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much. Okay, we have a question. So Himanshu is asking, are there any internships that you would recommend that will give us a real world experience of investment banking? Do investment bankers hire interns?
Yeah, investment bank is highest intern, but again, same thing. It's not that you are doing a BCom and you can apply offline internship and you can get, but keep your expectation a little low. I'll say when you're getting internship, don't say okay, internship also I need a top level bank or something. But if you put a hard enough effort, I've known people who get internship in boutique firm or somewhere else, and then they use that internship to get a good job later on. But there are internships which you easily get an investment, and you should try for that. Either your courses will allow you as part of when nominations come. Otherwise, also offline, I know a lot of people who get it. One thing is, don't say, okay, I want to get an offline internship, but I only want to get in 1, 2, 3 top 3. You may not get it. You may get in a smaller firm, but that equally helps you when you go out and find a real job.
Got it. Paranjay is asking, in India, are we having front desk jobs in IB?
Yes. In India, there are IB deals happening, mergers happening, everything happening. So there are front desk jobs out there in India as well.
Okay. And how is the responsibility of foreign transfer in IB? How is the possibility? I'm sorry.
In not only IB, every place, if you're working into MNC people, I see people always moving to foreign if that's your interest. Only thing I'll say is whatever you do prove yourself. If you go and say, okay, I joined you and I want to move to foreign someday, that's my objective of joining you. It wouldn't go well. So prove yourself in that organization. IB, non-IB, operations, technology, controllership, every place people are moving to foreign. Just that you need to prove that you're a strong player. The person can recommend you, and the other people are welcome to take you. But every job has an option to move outside. I see that every day people are moving outside. For some people, that's a preference. There's nothing wrong about that. If that's a preference, to prove yourself well in whatever you're doing, you'll always get that chance. You don't need to stick to IB just to move foreign. You can move at any job if you're working for a good organization. It's much more easier these days.
Got it. Advait is asking, I'm a software engineer by academics, but I'm inclined towards finance as well. Is making a career switch in finance domain worth it? He's confused right now.
So I think it depends what's worth it. Are you interested? I think if you're passionate, then it's worth it. You'll get what you're passionate about. If you're thinking it's worth about money or not, then it's a different question, right? One is you're competing with people who already have finance knowledge. So are you ready for that struggle? If you're ready for that struggle, it will be struggle, and I'll not tell you false that it will not be struggle, because you're competing with someone who had a finance history. Same time, if you're passionate, you can always make a switch. Maybe few years will be struggle. You should get yourself upgraded in terms of knowledge. And if in degree, if you can be, not everyone's situations in lateral part of career allows getting a degree. If it doesn't allow, still you can get a knowledge, give it a shot. Initial few years maybe struggle, but if you're passionate enough, you'll settle down longer term. Any job will pay you good. So I'll not say that okay, investment banking or finance job will pay you better than soft if you stay in software job. Software people are getting paid handsomely if they're good. So if your worth is about money, I think it's worth doing a work that you like. Ultimately, you'll pay it reasonable in the longer term. If it's your passion, of course, it's worth it. If you are ready to for struggle for some time, and if you're ready to put in that effort.
Got it. I hope, Advait, you got your answer. I think that is the last question. I'm waiting for 2 more seconds and we are done. So, thank you so much for this webinar. Thank you so much, Gaurav, for coming here and discussing and giving your opinion and giving us some guidance. And I hope you enjoyed the webinar as well.
Yeah, it was great learning from you. Thank you. Thanks a lot. And people can reach out. I think I'm out there. If you have any question, feel free to reach out. I wish everyone all the best and thanks for it.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We will see you for the next webinar. So 1 second, just 1 second, one last question. Before MBA, do we need experience in IB? So he's a fresher right now. He's saying that he wants to go for IB, but as you said, MBA, going through MBA will be better, or maybe that's what. And he's asking, getting an experience in IB, then doing an MBA, then getting into the field. Is that a better option?
It's not necessary, I would say. People get fresher as well, but if your circumstances allow, and that's if you're saying okay, anyway I have to work because of my personal situation, then it's not a bad option as well. You get benefit of that. So I'm saying take out your personal call, how your situations permit you, not based on whether you go with experience, without experience you'll still have an equal chance. But if your personal situations want you to get an experience first, do that. You're not losing much by doing MBA later. So I'll say in this case, choice should be based on what your personal circumstances arise. Ask you. I know a lot of people who do job because they need some financial support for some year and then do. It's perfectly fine. Both way, I think you get equal opportunity. In this case, take call based on your personal situation.
Got it. I hope you got your answer, Prarunjay, and thank you so much, sir. Thank you again. Thank you, guys. Thank you.